Hi there, this is Seamus with Radic Strength and Recovery. Today I'm going to go over the basic form for our 5 main movement patterns: push, pull, squat, hinge, and carry. I'll also have a little bonus section after that that addresses how to brace your core for core exercises and carries and pretty much everything that you do. Without further ado, let's start with push form. So here we want to start on hands and knees, and I have a couple of cues before we actually get into the push. So the first thing we want to do is rotate our arms and bring the pits of our elbows forward, like you see me doing here. Also, we want to push through our shoulders. You might want to push a few times, just sort of get used to feeling your shoulder blades track together and apart there. And then we want to step out, squeeze those glutes, and then pull our toes toward our wrists. We have shoulders over elbows over wrists, touch chest to floor, push all the way through on the way up. So we want to see that again. Full extension, nice strong plank. A push-up is really just a moving plank. Here we see with some chair assistance gives you a nice neutral grip of the wrist, but that same position, lower down and push through. So we still have shoulders over elbows over wrists and a nice strong plank. This also translates into a knee push-up. So we're going to start with a full plank, bring our knees to the floor, squeeze knees and ankles together, and still have that nice strong push. Elbows close to the side, glutes or your butt is nice and squeezed for a strong core. When we do pike push-ups or any kind of vertical push, the same principle applies. We want to keep the elbows facing as backwards as we can, elbow pits forward, and we want to push all the way through nice and strong. So let's watch the shoulder here. We're going to do what we call a stacking. So we're going to make that shoulder come down and back, and we're going to squeeze in the pit there. So when we're doing the push, we're going to pull back with the shoulder blade first and then pull the elbow toward the hips. So this way we're engaging the muscles of our back and we're not working only our arm. Another thing to think of here is a nice relaxed neck. So we're not scrunching that shoulder and we're not trying to do this lift with our neck. We're letting our shoulder blade move. And you might just want to have a little drill here where you just move at the shoulder blade to really get the feel of that initial pull. This is a great way to build mind-body awareness in the pull. Now, if you don't have equipment and you're doing pulls from the floor, squeeze those glutes, bring your ankles together, push those toes into the floor. Nice strong base. From here, we're going to extend our back, look forward, and then with a nice relaxed neck, we're going to squeeze those shoulder blades, reach ahead, grab, and pull down, just like we would if we had a bar or something else we were pulling. So we really want to squeeze those shoulder blades down, take those elbows toward the hips, try to put them in your back pockets. What we don't want to do is scrunch the shoulders where we're just working our arms. This is a back exercise. So nice relaxed neck, pull down, squeeze. For nice and strong. This applies if we're pulling laterally or if you're doing an exercise like a prone Y or a prone T. We're squeezing with the back, letting the neck rest. Bodyweight squat. So we want to find these bony prominences on the front of our hips. Let our hips lead and sit back into a squat. You see thighs are parallel to the floor and my torso is parallel to my shin. So we have this lovely little zigzag. You can see it here again if I hold the bottom of that position. So we can go, parallel to the floor or a little lower. And what we want to do is we want to squeeze those glutes to stand up tall and straight. So from the front here, I'm going to address the knees, knee position. So we want the knees to come out a little bit to give you room to sit down. What we don't want to see are the knees caving in. That's just not a safe position for your knees. Stand up nice and tall. Now, you may find that your hips like for your toes to be nice and front facing, or it may be more comfortable for you to angle your toes out a bit. Either way is fine. Work with your body and what feels good. Now, if you need a little assistance, stand right there with your calves next to a chair. Step one small step out. That's a good starting distance for a chair-assisted squat. So what we're going to do is, again, reach back with the hips, try to find that chair, just give it a little kiss, and stand up straight. So for this version, we're not really using the chair much except for a cue to sit back. If you need a little more assistance, you need to sit down on the chair, take a step back so you can sit down on the chair. But I want you to keep tension and squeeze your butt to stand up. What I don't want to see is you using momentum and lurching forward, not using your legs to stand to squat. An intermediate between what we just did and a full body weight squat, you turn that chair around and you use the chair mostly for balance. So we're going to just give a little assistance as we work lower into the squat to make sure we don't fall backwards. And we can sort of work with the distance, whatever works with our arms and our ability at the time. Next up is a hinge. Now, again, we're going to take our fingers and we're going to find those little bumps, bony bumps on the front of our hips. And if you want to feel around, just feel where your hip bones are even. And we're just going to come around to the front, just in line with your knees. There, you'll find those little bony bumps. And what we want to do is let them lead the way back. And we're just going to let our knees bend naturally so that we keep our weight in our heels and we're sitting back into our hips. So this is our hip hinge. The legs are a little straighter than you would see in a squat. What it is not is a forward fold like you saw there. We're also not going to come up onto our toes. So these are unstable positions. We want a nice flat foot. So you can see that again. We're going to lead with the hips back pretty much parallel with the floor. So this really works the back of our legs and our glutes. So for a weighted movement, what we're going to do, again, shoulders down and back, and we're going to pull, get nice tension there, and we're just going to stand straight up. So this is really mimicking picking any object up off the floor. We're going to have head, back, hips all in a nice straight line there, and we're going to lead with the hips. If you're having trouble really feeling this hinge part, maybe you're bending your knees too much or whatever it is, take the knees out of it, get a nice kneeling position, and find something you can pick up off the floor with a straight back. So this you're just going to squeeze those hips forward, and this is how we do that movement. Now, where you're probably going to start is a body weight bridge. So here we have the position to start with, and you can bring your hands closer in for more of a challenge or wider out for a more stable base. Feet flat on the floor here. And what we're going to do is draw our belly button in towards the floor, flattening out that low back, nice stable core. And then we're going to press our heels into the ground and squeeze our glutes. And this is going to bring our hips up. Now, from here, we're not done. We're going to reach our hands towards our feet. And we're going to pull our heels in towards our butt. And it's going to light up that whole back line. Hold here. This will probably be where you start from with bridges. What I don't want to see is knees going wonky in or out, or you arching your back. You should not feel low back pain for this exercise. We're going to focus on squeezing those glutes. If you need to bring your head up to keep your body in a line, sometimes that's helpful. Here it is again. The range of motion is not as big as you might think. So we just want to focus on squeezing those glutes and having a nice, strong lift. This will translate into more advanced progressions. Here you're about to see tabletop bridge, which really brings in those nice strong shoulders we've been talking about. So from here, we're just going to press through, and you have this nice little tabletop position. So we're pressing down through the wrists and down through the heels and pulling them together. It's a more advanced bridge version. So the fifth movement pattern here is a carry. And as I'm showing you here, the idea is to keep a stable core against sort of a one-sided weighted carry. So what we're going to do is, again, just like so, first we start with our hinge here, as you can see. So we're going to stand up into position, shoulder down and back. Weight is off the body. This is important. It's going to give us that core challenge and this translation to real life. So again, we don't want to be leaning side to side. We also don't want to be rotating back and forth as we walk. Nice, strong, stable movement. As you can see here, I'm going to take some short steps. So that weight's absolutely going to move, just like if you're carrying a heavy bag of groceries or, whatever it is. We've reached the bonus core content section of this video. If you are already doing McGill's Big 3 in your warm-ups, you can skip this section as I'm basically going to be going over those 3 moves. Now, how do we make sure that our core is online? Now, the muscles in your core, they're not offline in the sense that they've been disconnected or they're not working, but you may not be aware of what they're doing when they're doing it. And so there may be some times where we need to be in a slightly different position or engaging in a slightly different way than we're used to when we're sitting on the couch or even just walking in a relaxed way. So these 3 moves were developed by Dr. Stuart McGill. I'll link something down to him down below. And they're just 3 moves that help wake us up in our middle parts and get us ready for lifting, whether that's body weight strength training or heavy lifts. I pretty much use this anytime I'm getting under a heavy barbell. It has made a night and day difference for how strong I feel in my deep core muscles and the safety of my lifts, especially as I've bumped up in weight. So here we go. So we're going to talk about 3 simple moves here. The first thing I want to do though is, so if you've been in a yoga class or something of that sort, you may have heard the phrase, touch your belly button to your low back, or, some kind of cue that basically gets you to bring your pelvis and rotate it backwards and bring your low back flat on the ground. So that's what I want us to practice here. This is engaging a very deep core muscle, the transverse abdominis, or TBA for short. And this is a muscle, it is purely an endurance muscle. It's sort of what holds our whole little core carriage together. It's our deepest layer of muscle. And we just want to say hello and support that as it really helps us with the pressure needed to take care of our low back as we are in plank positions, doing squats, and as we start to increase our loads. Anyway, here we go. So yes, let's find our belly button. And I do want you to give us a little pressure and using muscles from in here, take the belly button to the floor. So imagine drawing it from the front of your body, trying to pull it into the back of your body. And as you do that, you will notice your pelvis rocking. What I don't want you to do is push through your feet. So no feet, don't be doing this, We're not pushing through our heels here. It's strictly from our deep core. So imagine drawing that belly button back, and you'll feel that low back flatten out. Just hold that for a few seconds. And if you want to sort of program this into a warm-up, you can just hold this position for 3 or 4 sets of 10 seconds, release for 2, draw again, hold, and just feel what it's like to actively move your pelvis. Pelvic positioning is important when you're squatting, hinging, when we're creating good tension in our core for planks and pushing movements. And our pelvises, generally speaking, these days, and modern folks are tilted too far forward, which gives us some tension and pain in the low back. So helping to strengthen these muscles brings our pelvis back into a more neutral alignment. Okay, now that we've done that, extend one leg. Let's take our hands, put them under the space there in our low back, okay? And we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to draw that belly button down, smashing our hands, and then I want us to just lift our heads a little. And that's move number 1. And we're going to hold that for 10 seconds. I'm not counting, and release. And we're going to do that 3 times, switch sides, and do it another 3 sets of 10 seconds, pausing for 2 seconds in between. So that's move number 1. Move number 2 is going to address our lateral core. So we're going to come onto one side, onto our forearms, and I want you to find a version of a side plank that works for you. So if we're from the knees, we're going to lift up from the knees. If we can do full extension of the leg, we're going to do that. Okay? And we're going to, just like we did with the hip bridge, we're going to try to pull our feet toward our elbow and our elbow toward our feet, and it's going to light up this whole side. We're going to hold that for 10 seconds, release, back up. Okay? I'll do another from the knee. So we can still squeeze our butt, pull our knees and our elbows together here, and get a strong plank. Flip sides, do it on the other side for the same number of reps or holds. And now we're going to move on to the third move. So our core is not just here. It's this entire area. It includes our hips. It even includes our lats, which goes from the low back to the front of the shoulder. So everything that sort of holds hips and shoulders together, I'm going to call core for this video. So this move works our extension, which is part of core strength, and some balance from side to side. So from a hands and knees position, and if you need to have a more neutral wrist, try that out. So I'm going to come down on hands and knees. Again, push through the shoulder blades. Nice relaxed neck. And we're going to take left foot, right hand, extend them out. And we're going to be trying to push them further apart. So pushing through the heel, squeezing this butt. We're not arching. And reaching up. 10-second hold. Bring it down. Do it again. After 3, switch sides. And you can see I'm even wanting to rotate here. We're trying to keep everything nice and level and not rotate. So we're working that anti-rotation, we're working extension, and we're just saying hello. This should not be a max effort. So if you need to start with 1 set or 2 sets, or if you want to do 5-second holds instead of 10-second holds, find a way to start with 2 or 3 sets of holds. So I know I just said 1 set, but let's try to keep it to 2 at a minimum, just so we get a good activation. So if you want to reduce the number of seconds that you're holding for, that would be my official suggestion. Try this out, this core routine out before you get started with your exercises, and see if you don't feel stronger across your body from top to bottom as we're doing movements that require core bracing like planks, push-ups, bridges, And, I would work that in as many times as you're doing strength training. You can even just do that in the morning to get things moving. And I'd be curious to see how you feel at your desk after doing this in the morning, or even after you get home. So I hope you found this helpful, and happy workout.